You believe your choices are your own, that every decision you make begins inside your mind and ends with your will. But what if that isn't true? What if the words you trust, the people you follow, even the desires you defend as you, were placed there long before you noticed? Free will feels real, because it has to. Every day you choose what to buy, who to believe, what to fear, and what to ignore. Yet most of these choices are quietly guided, nudged by systems designed to remain invisible. You don't feel controlled, you feel certain. And that certainty is the most powerful tool of all. Human behavior rarely moves by logic. It moves by influence, by conditioning, by psychological pressure applied so subtly it feels like instinct. You are not weak for this, you are human. From advertising and authority to social norms and emotional triggers, there are forces shaping your behavior in ways you were never taught to recognize, not through force, not through orders, but through psychology. And once you see these systems, you can never unsee them. In this video, we will expose the hidden psychological frameworks that guide human behavior every single day, silently, efficiently, and without consent. Intelligence does not make you immune. In many cases, it makes you easier to control. The human mind did not evolve to seek truth. It evolved to seek survival. At the core of every decision are a few unchanging needs: the need to belong, to be accepted, to feel seen and validated by others. Rejection, to the brain, still feels like a threat to survival. So we adapt, we agree, we follow, often without realizing it. Then there is fear, not the obvious kind, but the quiet fear of uncertainty. The discomfort of not knowing. The mind would rather accept a familiar lie than sit in unanswered questions. Certainty feels safe, even when it isn't true. Humans also avoid psychological pain at all costs: shame, isolation, loss of identity. When faced with these threats, logic shuts down, emotion takes control, and emotion is predictable. These vulnerabilities are not flaws, they are design features, shared by everyone, regardless of education, status, or self-awareness, which is why manipulation doesn't target the weak, it targets the human. And once these needs are understood, they don't just influence behavior, they can be engineered. Emotions override logic faster than you can think. Before reason forms, the decision is already made. The human brain does not act on facts first, it reacts to feeling. Fear shuts down critical thought and narrows attention. When fear is present, people don't ask if something is true, they ask, how do I escape this? And whoever provides that escape becomes trusted. Guilt works differently. It doesn't threaten from the outside, it attacks from within. In relationships, guilt is used to control behavior without force. A look of disappointment, a reminder of sacrifice. Suddenly choices feel selfish, compliance feels like morality. Desire is just as powerful. It promises reward instead of punishment. Status, love, success, the image of a better self. Media understands this deeply. What you want is rarely random. It is carefully suggested, repeated, and framed till it feels personal. Shame keeps people obedient. It teaches silence. Authority figures use it to discourage questions. Societies use it to enforce norms. When shame is activated, the mind turns against itself. And self-policing is the most efficient form of control. Even hope can be weaponized. The promise that obedience now leads to reward later. That suffering has meaning. That the system will eventually work in your favor if you just wait. These emotions don't appear by accident. They are triggered, amplified, and very often designed. Your brain lies to you every day. Not to harm you, but to make decisions easier. The mind relies on shortcuts, patterns, assumptions. These shortcuts are called cognitive biases, and they shape behavior without asking for permission. Confirmation bias makes you search for information that agrees with what you already believe. Once an idea feels familiar, opposing evidence feels uncomfortable, so it's ignored. This is why beliefs harden even when they're wrong. The brain protects consistency, not accuracy. Authority bias is even simpler. When someone appears confident, powerful, or officially recognized, the mind lowers its defenses. Titles replace proof. Status replaces truth. We assume authority equals correctness, because questioning authority once carried real risk. Then there is social proof. Humans watch other humans to decide what is safe, normal, and acceptable. If enough people believe something, follow something, or buy something, it feels right. Popularity becomes evidence. Silence becomes agreement. Scarcity completes the loop. When something feels limited, rare, or about to disappear, urgency takes over. Fear of missing out overrides patience. Logic rushes to keep up with emotion. These biases aren't mistakes, they are mental survival tools. And when someone knows exactly which bias to trigger, behavior becomes predictable. Words don't just describe reality, they rewrite it. The human brain does not process language neutrally. The way something is said often matters more than what is said. This is called framing. Change the frame, and the meaning changes with it. A problem becomes a threat, a rule becomes protection, the facts stay the same, but perception shifts. Repetition strengthens this effect. When a phrase is heard often enough, the brain stops questioning it. Familiarity becomes truth. Over time, repeated language bypasses logic and settles into belief. Not because it's accurate, but because it's known. Labels go even deeper. Once something is named, it's no longer neutral. A person becomes a category, an action becomes an identity. Labels simplify the world, but they also limit it. They tell you who belongs and who doesn't. Emotional wording completes the process. Certain words trigger fear, pride, anger, or hope instantly. Politics use them to mobilize. Advertising uses them to persuade. Social media uses them to provoke reaction. The goal is rarely understanding, it's response. Language is never passive. It directs attention. It defines meaning. It controls interpretation. And when enough people accept the same words, they begin to share the same reality. Why do people follow orders even when something inside them says they shouldn't? Obedience feels uncomfortable to question because authority short-circuits the mind. When someone appears in control through a uniform, a title, or a symbol of power, the brain shifts responsibility away from itself. If an authority figure is in charge, the individual feels less accountable for the outcome. Uniforms and symbols are not decoration. They are psychological signals. They suggest structure, legitimacy, and consequence. The mind reads them instantly, long before logic has time to intervene. What looks official feels correct. Titles work the same way. Expert, leader, professional. These words imply knowledge and competence, even when evidence is limited. Questioning them feels risky. Compliance feels safer. Authority also provides clarity. In uncertain situations, people want direction. Orders remove doubt. They replace moral complexity with instruction. And once responsibility is outsourced, obedience becomes easier. This is not about weakness, it's about conditioning. Because when authority is embedded into systems, laws, institutions, hierarchies, it no longer needs force. Control becomes routine, predictable, normal. People fear isolation more than they fear being wrong. Belonging is not a preference, it's a psychological need. The brain treats social exclusion as danger, and danger demands compliance. So when a group moves in one direction, individuals follow, often against their own judgment. This is conformity, the quiet adjustment of beliefs, opinions, and behavior to match the group. Not because the group is correct, but because standing alone feels unsafe. Disagreement risks rejection. Agreement offers protection. Herd behavior amplifies this effect. When many people act the same way, the behavior feels justified. Trends spread faster than evidence. Online communities reinforce beliefs through repetition and reward. Likes replace reasoning. Visibility becomes validation. Peer pressure doesn't always demand action. Sometimes it simply creates silence. When everyone seems aligned, doubt feels inappropriate. Questioning feels like betrayal. So logic retreats and identity takes its place. Social movements understand this power: shared language, shared symbols, shared enemies. Once identity is tied to belief, changing your mind feels like losing yourself. And when group identity takes over, individual thinking disappears. Humans are trained the same way animals are. The only difference is that most never notice it happening. Behavioral conditioning doesn't rely on force, it relies on patterns. Reward a behavior, and it repeats. Punish it, and it fades. Over time, choice turns into habit, and habit feels like personality. Rewards don't have to be physical, attention works just as well. Praise, approval, digital validation. Apps are built around this loop. Notifications trigger anticipation. Interaction delivers dopamine. The brain learns when to check, when to respond, when to crave. Punishment is often quieter. Silence, withdrawal, disapproval. In work culture, productivity is rewarded with recognition. Slowing down is met with pressure. In relationships, affection becomes conditional. Behavior adjusts accordingly. Dopamine doesn't care about meaning. It cares about repetition. When a behavior leads to reward often enough, the brain stops asking why. It just follows the pattern. This is how habits form. Not through intention, but through conditioning repeated over time. And the most unsettling part isn't that this exists. It's how deeply modern life depends on it. Screens control behavior more than people do. Not through commands, through design. Modern digital systems are built to learn you faster than you understand them. Algorithms track what you watch, pause on, react to, and ignore. Then they adjust, slowly shaping what appears in front of you. What you see begins to feel like choice, but it's optimization. Attention is the currency. And once captured, it must be held. This is where manipulation becomes subtle. Outrage keeps people engaged longer than calm. Fear spreads faster than facts. Content that provokes emotion is rewarded with visibility, while nuance disappears. Dopamine is engineered into the experience. Infinite scrolling removes stopping points. Notifications create anticipation. Variable rewards keep the brain guessing. The result isn't addiction in the dramatic sense, it's dependency through habit. These systems don't need to convince you of anything directly. They influence mood, focus, perception. Over time, behavior adapts to the environment they create. The process feels neutral, automatic, normal, which is why resisting it is becoming harder every day. Control loses power the moment it's seen. Most systems of influence rely on invisibility. They work best when you believe your reactions are natural, your opinions are spontaneous, your habits are chosen. Awareness interrupts that process. It creates distance between stimulus and response. And in that pause, control weakens. Emotional regulation is the next layer of defense. When emotions surge, manipulation thrives. Slowing down, naming the feeling instead of obeying it, restores agency, fear demands urgency, anger demands action. Awareness asks a different question. Why am I feeling this right now? Questioning patterns matters more than questioning facts. Not what you're told, but how often you're told. Not who is speaking, but what emotion they're triggering. Repetition, urgency, authority, outrage. Once these patterns become visible, they lose their effectiveness. This doesn't mean withdrawing from the world. It means engaging consciously, choosing when to react, choosing when not to. The goal isn't paranoia, it's clarity. If this video shifted how you see your own reactions, stay curious, stay aware, and pay attention to what usually goes unnoticed, because the most powerful form of control is the one you never question.